A wonderful good day, a wonderful good morning to our today's live session with Brandon Bays, trying to find out what the body is telling us. And I'm absolutely delighted to have Brandon here with us live today. She's actually joining us from Australia. Brandon, thank you so much for coming in. And I'm also welcoming all the people from around the world. I know we have people from Australia, from all places of Europe, seeing different names. I recognize most of them, I don't, but it's absolutely delightful to have everybody here. Thank you, Brandon, so much for this discovery session, and may I please hand over to you.
Yes. Heartfelt namaste to everyone. And I've been so looking forward to this particular discovery session because we're really going to investigate and go deep inside today to uncover what it is our body is trying to tell us. And I just read last week in the Telegraph newspaper, some recent science has come out that they have discovered that chronic pain and chronic illnesses, that any pain you feel is actually located in the part of the brain that emotions exist. So our emotions and the physical pain that we are feeling in our body are coming from the same part of the brain. And that's why with chronic illnesses like fibromyalgia, with arthritis, with multiple sclerosis, repeat injuries, sports injuries, where we have this pain that seems to come and go, science is now saying it's because we've had unresolved emotional issues. And when they get triggered, what happens, it goes to the pain center in our brain. And so even if you've started to heal from a certain illness, that in fact, because the unresolved, buried emotional issues are stored there, the pain keeps returning. And in fact, it's been known for the last 2 decades that anytime you feel a strong emotion, and you repress it, it releases a quantifiable biochemistry into your bloodstream, which will go to certain cell receptors and block them, rendering those cells incapable of communicating with the rest of the cells in the body. And if over time, illness happens, injuries happen, pain happens, well, of course it happens in the part of the body where the cells are blocked. And conversely, what's also known to be true is that when we feel our emotions very naturally and openly, like a child does, our cell receptors remain open. And so the journey was initially born from my own direct experience. In 1992, I was diagnosed with a basketball-sized tumor. And I went through a radical, life-changing healing process. And in only 6.5 weeks' time, I was in hospital and I was pronounced textbook perfect clean, completely tumor-free. And that was without drugs or surgery. And part of the great gift of my own healing journey was I found a method for all of us to undergo our own journeys inside of our bodies, to get access to this old buried pain, to these old cell memories that are stored inside the body. And what we know about the cells in the body is that they all replicate at varying speeds. So, for instance, if you go into your liver cells, after about 6 weeks' time, they've replicated, it become new regenerative cells. The stomach lining, it takes less than 3 days for an all-new stomach lining. The eyes, do you know that the inner eyeball is replicating at such a speed that in less than 48 hours, in less than 2 days, you have an all-new inner eyeball. And so what happens is science has found that when we feel a strong emotion and we repress it, we sweep it under the carpet, we deny it's happening, we don't have the coping skills, so we kind of push it away, pretend it's not happening for us. That biochemistry gets released, goes to those cell receptors, and that old emotional pain, the thoughts we were having at the time, the unspoken words we didn't share at the time, the emotions that we did not express at the time got stored in those cells. And before that cell dies, it passes on its programming to the next cell generation. So the next cell generation is born as an exact replica of the previous cell generation. And this programming goes on our whole life long. As a matter of fact, when I got in to see the gynecologist, the surgeon who first diagnosed this tumor, she said it probably just started with a single cell when you were 8 years old, and then the cell replicated. And by the time it was about 3 months before I went in to see the doctor, my stomach was growing exponentially fast, and literally the tumor was ballooning because the cells were growing exponentially. So the work is grounded in what's happening with science and our emotions. And so many of you wrote in what challenges you've been facing here. And I was very deeply moved to read what you wrote in that you've been facing of late. And one woman was writing about how a couple of years ago, she and her husband got diagnosed with cancer at the same time. He with one kind of cancer, her with another. And within 4 months, her husband of 27 years passed from cancer. 3 days after he passed, she went in for her first treatment and for her first operation. And here it is a year after that all happened. And, she's doing very well on the chemotherapy. But there's still all this unresolved pain and loss at the loss of her husband, feelings of depression, feelings that she can't cope anymore. And it's because no one gave any of us a manual. How do you deal with a strong, tragic event, a trauma like that, with the two of you getting a cancer at the same time and your husband passing? And she did the best she could. She just soldiered on and went and got her operations. And so at the peak of this trauma, of course, she repressed it. She swept it under the carpet and tried to deal with it as best as she could as she was undergoing her cancer treatment. And it got stored there inside of her body. And this is why the loss and the grief is still here. It's why depression is now here. It's why she feels isolated and disconnected from her friends, because now that emotional issue is living inside her body. Some of you shared that you've lost loved ones. Others of you shared that you've got depression. Someone said they had fibromyalgia. And on. It's not just emotional issues or physical issues. It's also a feeling that life has let us down. The jobs have been lost. Divorces have happened. And no one gave us the manual to deal with that. And the journey gives you the method to go on a journey inside your body, to literally go to cellular locations, to uncover that old repressed cell memory, the old stored pain, the unspoken emotions, the words, the lessons you were meant to learn in that time. And you come to a real understanding of what took place at that time that you buried those emotions. And you come to not only releasing all of that stored pain, but you come to that understanding. And ultimately, you end up going through a deep process of forgiveness, so that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells. And so I've been doing this work, for the last 30 years and offering the journey as it is today. And of course, it's evolved hugely over time, because originally it was born from my own direct experience from healing from this huge tumor. But over time, as I worked with people with everything from arthritis to eczema to asthma to allergies to brain tumors to heart disease to cancers, with almost everything you can imagine, with HIV, multiple sclerosis, and then all kinds of emotional issues, I've seen what works. And I've also seen what doesn't work. So this body of work called the journey is born from direct lived experience, not from some lovely theory out there, but from seeing what worked with people and seeing what hasn't worked. And so now here we are 30 years later, and now medical hospitals are using this work, medical doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, ministries of government. It's in places where trauma centers are happening, cancer centers are. And there's even 3 hospitals in Israel where, let's say you undergo a heart operation. Well, you have the opportunity to spend a week in the recovery center in hospital, where the journey is at the center of their recovery, so that you get to the emotional root cause, the cell memories, that was part of co-creating the heart disease. They have the same thing in another hospital where they have a multiple sclerosis department. Same thing after your treatment. Then you get to the emotional corollary. Same thing where there's an oncology department. After your treatment, you have a week-long recovery where you're using the journey method to go on a journey inside yourself, to get to these buried emotional issues and go through this radical process of release and healing. Now, the second thing that the journey is also known for, it's known for awakening to your infinite divine potential, to the part of you that makes your heart beat and your eyes shine and your hair grow. We all came into this life as this radiant, shining peace, this field of love, this pure awareness where we felt ourselves to be connected and part of all of existence, at one with all of life. As a matter of fact, science says when you are born and in the first weeks of your infancy, you feel yourself to be this vast awareness pervading existence, this field of love, so that when mother's hand comes before your eyes, the infant feels mother's hand as being part of itself. And so what happens, unfortunately, all of us come in as this enlightened awareness, feeling this peace inside, this love, this joy, this connectedness with all of life. We all came in as that. But unfortunately, this radiant potential that is your own soul, that is your essence, it gets covered over with a series of shutdowns and lies and limitations. And then when we get to be adults, we cover this whole mess over, all these layers of all the pain and shutdowns and limitations we bought into. We covered over with this like mask that we present to this world, this shining veneer, which says, oh no, I've got it all handled. I'm reliable. I'm dependable. I'm an adult, very responsible. You can count on me. And then we wonder why it is everyone thinks we're so full of. You can finish that sentence. And then if you get to be very lucky, as I have been more lucky than I could possibly thank life, grace, the universe for, life gives you a wake-up call. Now, the dozens and dozens of you that wrote in, it sounds like almost all of you have gotten a wake-up call. And these wake-up calls can come in so many forms. In my case, it came, and in many of your cases, it came in the form of a serious illness. In some of our cases, it came in the loss of a loved one or a divorce that happened, which we didn't have the coping skills to cope with. For others of us, we've lost jobs during all the lockdowns or had to suddenly homeschool while the lockdowns were happening. And, our jobs and juggling it all, we got so stressed out and we found ourselves yelling at our children, at our partners. And we've had so many different wake-up calls with this pandemic, Ukraine war. It's like coming from all directions. And when these wake-up calls come, they're an invitation from your own soul that it's time to come home to the peace that you came in as, to the love that's inside of you. It's time to experience this oneness of life. And if you're really honest with yourself, if you really look at your life, there's a way you've sensed there is some unnameable potential inside of you that you've just not been able to get access to. And with the journey, what we do is we crack through this mask we've all been wearing. This wake-up call gets you to get it, that it's time to get real. It's time to crack through this hardened veneer that we've been presenting to the world. And spontaneously, you begin opening down through the lies, the pains, the shutdowns. And spontaneously, you eventually open into this vast field of love that is your essence. And you realize it's been there all along. Only like me, you bought into all the layers that covered it. And then if you get to be very lucky, you fall so in love with this divine potential inside that, like me, you will do anything to clear whatever blocks you, whatever holds you back, so that this radiant presence can live your life. I can remember, and this happens to all of us, we come in as this shining, radiant presence, this field of love, of oneness, and then these series of shutdowns happen. And it can be something simple, like you're 3 years old and you're crying about something, and mom says, no, we've got to get off to nursery school. Come on, let's dry your tears and let's get going. And the younger you gets it, suddenly there's an involuntary shutdown. And the knowledge, I'm not allowed to feel, at least not those feelings that have the tears. And the first shutdown happens. Now, when you start shutting down some emotions, you start shutting them all down. I can remember when I was 8 years old, we had a very domestically challenged childhood. And one of the ways I used to escape was into my books. And I loved reading. And I got chosen I was in 3rd grade when I was 8 years old, and I got chosen by my school teacher to represent the 3rd graders in our school for a county-wide spelling bee, a very stupid contest we have in the United States. And all the schools were coming together, all the teachers, the parents, the students. And so I'd been selected for the 3rd graders. And I was standing on stage, and I'd already spelled 3 difficult words. And then they gave me one of the easiest words in the English language, the word fleet. Well, no one had given me a manual, or I'd never even seen the word fleet in any of my children's books. But I had seen the word flee, an insect. And I stood there on stage, and I'll never forget this moment. And I said, F-L-E-A-T. And the whole stadium was hushed. And then all at once, it erupted into laughter. Now, no one had given me a manual. How do you deal with mass humiliation in front of all your friends, your peers, the teachers, the parents? And I looked at my mom, who was sitting in the third row, and I looked to her for support. And she looked at me as if I was the greatest disappointment in her life, shook her head and went, and internally, it was like this wall just came slamming down inside of me. And I found myself retreating to the back of the stage and sit with the other losers. And that day, I decided, I'm so stupid. I'm so worthless. I'll never be good at anything I do. I'm just a failure. I'm a laughingstock. And it's like this layer upon layer of shutdowns, the kind of shutdowns that happen to all of us. And then when we get to be that adult, we cover the whole mess over with this shiny mask that we present to the world. And so these wake-up calls that we've all received is really an invitation to come back home and open into your own soul, into this vast field of love that is your essence. And it's at that deepest level that you turn the torch on inside, turn the flashlight on, and you go on a journey inside your body to specific cellular locations to go through a deep healing process of release and letting go, understanding, forgiveness, so that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells. Now, I would love, if it were possible, I would love to give you this whole teaching today in this short session. But actually, it's a 3-day immersive teaching in a 3-day seminar called the Journey Intensive, where you really roll up your sleeves and dive in and learn both the emotional journey, the physical journey, and all the advanced skills. And so even though I can't take you through the whole teaching and process work and do the one-to-ones that are available to you in the Journey Intensive, I can still take you into a process, a discovery process, where we begin to befriend our bodies, where we begin to go inside our bodies, begin to welcome our body to reveal to us what's stored inside. And so I'd love to ask you if you'd be willing to join me and just treat it as like a divine experiment. You've got nothing to lose, but some old baggage and everything to gain by just being willing to open and be present with yourself. And so though this isn't the journey process, it's a tiny toe dip into beginning to befriend your emotions, to befriend your own body, to learn to start to listen to your own body. So if you'd like to join me, let's all together take a nice deep breath in and sighing it out and closing your eyes. And let's take a deep breath in of openness and just breathing that into your room. And willingness, the willingness just to uncover whatever it is the body wants to reveal to you. And one of the things I've learned in the journey is the body will never give you something you're not ready to face. So if it comes up in a little exploration like this, it means it's an issue that your soul is saying and your body is saying, you know what, you're ready to face this. I'm open to revealing it to you. And I'm longing to be free from this emotional issue. So just welcoming yourself to really be open to whatever the body, your being, your heart want to reveal to yourself. And also breathe into the room a willingness to experience this. Breathe into your room a willingness to experience whatever this mini process will reveal. So breathing into the room, willingness. And now trust. Trust in yourself, trust in life. Trust that your own soul is what brought you to this discovery session. Trust that your soul wants the highest and best for you, that your soul wants you to heal, that your soul wants you to come home to the peace and love side, to the love that is your essence. So trusting in your own self and breathing that trust into the room. And letting your heart be as wide as the world. Wide enough to welcome everything that lives inside of you. All the words, the emotions, the feelings. That's how vast this vast open sky of all acceptance is. And it's vast and spacious and free in front of you. It's boundlessly spacious and vast behind you. It's infinitely vast to all sides of you. Boundless below, sky like above. And you're just resting now. This vast, open, spacious field of love, of acceptance. And now let's all of us turn our gaze inside of our bodies. And you know, our bodies are like this container for all the emotions and the feelings that live here. You already know this. And our feelings, they're like little kids, you know, some of our emotions are loud and attention-seeking, like a child can be. Some of our feelings are shy and scared to come up. And some of your emotions, you've rejected them so many times that they don't trust you anymore. They don't even come up anymore. They hide behind closed doors and underneath lids and are like a little rejected child that has stopped trusting that they're welcome. And so putting out a welcome to all the feelings that live inside of you. And if it feels appropriate, you might even tell your body that you're sorry that you pushed all of this away. And that for once, you're willing to open, to be present, to really listen to what's here. And so right now, locating a part of your body where there may just be a little bit of tension or stress or contraction or holding going on or hiding going on, just locate that area where you sense there's a little bit of contraction or holding going on. Take a deep breath in of this acceptance. And right now, flood that whole area with acceptance, letting it soften and open and be marinated, tenderized. And if there were a feeling starting to just spontaneously arise out of that area, I wonder what that feeling might be. It might be as quiet as a whisper. But if there were a feeling starting to arise now out of that area, I wonder what that feeling might be. just welcoming whatever's here and also whatever's not here. Allowing it all. And if this area could speak and had words, what would it say to you right now? Just give it a voice. If this part of your body were speaking and had words, what would it say to you? And as you listen to the words, how do they make you feel emotionally? Sometimes just sounds arise, but how does that make you feel emotionally? Perhaps a picture's coming out of nowhere. If so, step into it. How are you feeling emotionally in that picture? Or maybe there's a lid over it. Somehow you're aware that it's hiding from you right now. And imagining that there is a lid somewhere. And then like peeling back can on a peanuts can, taking hold of that lid and right now lifting it off. It's hiding here. Take hold of the lid and lift it off. What's hiding here? Just welcoming whatever's here. And also whatever's not here. Taking a deep breath in of acceptance and just flooding this area with acceptance. And now coming to neutral inside of yourself. And finding another area of your body where there may be a little tension or stress or holding or hiding or contraction going on. Find that area. Locate it. And take a deep breath in now of acceptance. And flood that area with acceptance. Letting it soften and be marinated and tenderized and opened into. And if there were a feeling starting to arise out of that area, what might that feeling be? Might be as quiet as a whisper, so just open wide. And if there were a feeling there, how does it make you feel this emotion? Or if this area could speak and had words and you gave it a voice, what would this area say to you right now? How does it make you feel emotionally as you listen to the words or the sounds? If it could speak, what would it say? Or maybe there's a picture. If there is, step into the picture. How are you feeling in the picture? Or if there's a lid, take hold of the lid and lift it off right now. Welcoming whatever's here and also whatever's not here. And taking a deep breath in of acceptance and just flooding that area with acceptance and coming now to neutral inside of your body. And putting out an invitation to your body. If it feels appropriate, you might like to make a promise to your body that you're going to stay open and you're going to start this inner listening process. and that you're really going to open with whatever your body is trying to tell you, and that you're going to be present to it. Instead of shoving it away or tucking it under a carpet, repressing it, pretending it's not here, you're going to stay open and listen and be present and begin the very beginning of your healing journey with your body and yourself. So taking another nice deep breath in and sighing it out. And another nice deep breath in and sighing it out. And the awareness remains vast and spacious, free and endless in front of you. It remains boundlessly vast behind, and infinitely vast and spacious to all sides, boundless below and sky-like above. And you're just resting here in a field of love, acceptance, of awareness, so that eyes open or eyes closed, same. Taking another nice deep breath in and letting it out and opening your eyes. And another nice deep breath in and sighing it out. And one more nice deep breath in, sighing it out. And if the eyes have not yet opened, this is your invitation to open your eyes now. You can open the eyes now. Okay, beloveds. So this was just a tiny toe dip for you to begin to see that actually there are buried issues stored inside your body. And that if you're watching this, it's not I that welcomed you here. It is your soul that is calling you home to this infinite intelligence, this huge divine healing potential that is your essence, that is your soul. And it's your soul that's inviting you to go on your own healing journey, to go and discover these old cell memories, these emotional patterns, this old stored pains, these generational issues, past life issues, and to go through a deep process of release and healing so that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells. And so I welcome you with all my heart. I know there are a lot of journey intensives going on online all around the world. And I know that the team has tried to put together a package for you to take it that's 70% off the original price so that everyone can respond to this call home. And it's one of those things that when you begin this journey, you recognize that no one can tell you how to heal. That part of your own healing journey is you find out your own truth, discover your own answers, go through a deep healing process and releasing process, coming to understanding so that you participate in your own healing journey. And though it's not something anyone can do for you, what takes place at the Journey Intensive, which is a 3-day deep immersion in this work, where you're getting teachings from me and meditations, guided introspections, And then in the afternoon, you get together with another delegate and you go into a private room together and you get to do a journey process together. And this happens on both days 1 and 2. Day 1, you get an emotional journey. 2, you get a physical journey. And on day 3, you go through these deep advanced skills, which allow you to let go of so many ancillary issues that are attached to your themes that have been stored inside of you. And we have a beautiful trainer team who holds an embrace for you so that when you and your partner are working together, you can raise your hand if something comes up for you, and they'll go straight into the room and they'll support you in your process. So you have a huge team of support to support you through this incredibly deep and liberating process. And I have to say, honestly, this is not work for people of casual interest. This is for people who genuinely want to heal and liberate their lives, to come home to a sense of peace and be able to take this work to their children, to their parents, to their loved ones, and into their own lives. And I always say, give this work away. Help everyone to heal, to come home, and to take the lampshade off our lights. And so I'm inviting Gabby to come on, and she can share with you how it is you can get to the upcoming journey intensives and how they have such an incredible honoring of the time that we're living through with the packages they have. And so I look forward to meeting you at the journey intensives and the ongoing satsangs. And until then, a heartfelt namaste. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Brandon, for joining us. And thank you so much, everyone here who joined us today. We had a beautiful group. It was also live streamed in Facebook and on YouTube. So it was a beautiful group of people, all eager to learn how we can learn to uncover our suppressed emotions. And I believe, well, I always do this exercise. I have been with Brandon for over 25 years now. I'm international director for the journey, and it's been a huge privilege to travel the world with her, offer seminars live in so many countries. And now COVID has offered us another opportunity. So the next journey intensives that we're offering is all online. So you can do this from the comfort of your home. And we've been doing this now since June 2020, and nothing is lost. This is really a message I wanted to bring home. I've been attending so many workshops all online. We have the privacy of working with another person in a private room. And this format that we're using, it works. It really works. And everybody can get the depth, the experience that you would have at a live event. So in a moment, actually, Chris, bring it up now. I don't need to be on a big screen. There are journey intensives coming up all on various time zones all around the world, on the North American time zone, on Australian time zone, on the European time zone. We're also offering the journey intensives with translation. So you will have Brandon's teachings from her personally, but you have the option, like you did here, if you needed translation, to hear it in your native language. And you have a host, a presenter from that country to take you through. So we have events coming up in Germany. We have at this next one on the 18th to the 20th of February, we're offering French translation, Romanian translation. There is a Czech event also on that very same date. So if you click on a link for the Journey Intensive, and Olga has posted it here, it's geo-tagged. So if you're anywhere in Europe, you will see all the European events over the next few months. If you're dialing in from North America, you will see the American events. If you're dialing in from Australia, you will see the Australian events. So 18th to 20th of February is the big international event on Australian and European time zone and quite a few languages too. And the prices, well, you can see what the prices are normally. And it's really these challenging times that we're living through that we wanted for people to have access to these tools, preferably in every home. None of us, all my friends from the journey, I don't think we would have navigated life quite as positively as we have through these times over the last 3 years. And we just wish for everyone else to have the same opportunity. So it's with a heartfelt welcome to these next journey intensives that are coming up all around the world in various languages, that I invite you, and Brandon invites you, and all of our team. We have journey practitioners from all around the world also joining us, and they're here to support you. They come voluntarily because for them, every one of us has experienced a huge shift in their lives, and all we want to do is just give back, you know. And so you have a beautiful opportunity to meet some of our presenters, some of our journey practitioners. And if there is anything you still have questions, if you're not sure if this is for you, if you're not sure which event to go to or what you should do now, you also have the option to actually contact one of our team on this clarity call. I think Ollie will post a link, and it's a clarity call. And if you've been on this broadcast today, you will be receiving a replay. You will also receive the links, and you will receive a link for what we call a clarity call. It means one of our practitioners, one of our team members is there to answer your questions. And if you already have a calling in the heart and you feel like, okay, I'm just going to give it a go. If you're as brave as me, as I was back in 1996, it's just do it. It did change my life. And not much on the outside changed. You know, you can't turn back things that happened in the past, but how we react to it, how we respond to it on the inside is what changes. And I wish everybody could live from that. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you again, Brandon, for this beautiful session. I hope you got something beautiful out of it, and maybe we'll see each other at the next Journey Intensive. And until then, lots of love, a heartfelt namaste, and see you soon. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.